I'll call the roll. Mr. Boucher. Brown.
Here.
Ms. Helms.
Present.
Ms. Gasper.
Present.
Chris Crowley is present. Ms. Crowder.
Here.
And Ms. Watkins.
Present, and we also have Takia White virtual, she's currently at the annual meeting for the Minnesota Association.
So look down there, present virtually.
Yeah.
And we have legal counsel present. Let's pray this thing out. Heavenly Father, we come to you with gratitude for the opportunity to be of service to the town of Allendale. Please guide our decisions and give us your wisdom as we seek to protect the public trust. In Jesus' name, amen.
Yeah.
Please,
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we have the civility pledge, Mr. Brown.
We pledge to build a stronger and more prosperous community by advocating for civil engagement, respecting others and their viewpoints, and finding solutions for the betterment of the town of Walthall.
Thank you. All your motion to approve of the July 15th town council agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Carries unanimously. Executive report for South Carolina Code Section 30-4-70A. 1. Concerning personnel matters related to the utilities manager. Council may take action following executive session. I do call for a vote to enter executive session.
A motion and a second.
Yeah, I'll.
So moved.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those? All right, unanimous, we will enter executive session. You back online.
I'm here. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, can you hear us now?
Yes,
All right, so like, your motion to. Adjourn executive session, return to open session,
So moved.
Second.
any discussion? All in favor, all opposed? Are unanimous, let's,
There, please note there were no motions, actions, or notes taken during executive session.
We wanted to talk to a few friends of mine who retired from war, like the waterworks, see if they might be interested in the part-time position. You know, so they need something to do. Excited, funny to list here, so I will reach out to them and see if they're willing to apply.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
that's how it is.
Oh, yeah, I've seen something.
All right, welcome back.
I'll be able to get them on something, but I don't know about.
No, I was getting stuff up on this, like, unless you want to open it. This is like. Okay, I'm just sad, sorry. Yeah, it's a base, they will.
We got $5 city road.
Toss it there. I see this, like, why, how you don't, they start saying, like,
All right, and we're in action, Craig.
Yes, just one note again, as public feedback, if there were no motions, votes, or decisions made during the executive session.
Again, thank you all for being patient to that executive session. We appreciate your patience for that. So water. We thank you all for being here. I think we probably start with having you tell us who you are and what you're doing, just for our record. And then we'll get into a bigger discussion about the water and the solutions with the existing delivery of water to the people of town hall. So Ron, we'll start with you and then go on.
Ron Blackrock, I'm the consultant for the town water system, been here for 3.5 years. I'm Reggie Sidbrook, so we've been living off that the water system since its inception. I'm Christopher Cross with HM Norca, I'm the general manager, and we've been operating the system for 16 years. In compliance.
That's a big deal.
I'm Herman.
Yes, sir.
Brandon, Abernathy, South Carolina, Willie Water.
All right, so. The. Water is the number one. Is the number one topic on the town list of problems that need solutions. And we you all are, especially the three of you, are aware of what our problems are with the water. And we need to figure out what we can do about it. I did, I met with Mr. Seabrooks, we talked about a number of scientific solutions and aerating, stripping the water. We did, ozone addition to the water, and it included, peroxide, right? Addition to the water, and I don't know if there, I don't know anything about what it takes to actually do such a thing as any of those three things, or all of those three things. But our current situation now is that the water showing up for town residents is potable, but it's smell the water. And it's just untenable, and apparently the latest, explanation that I've gotten, the latest description I've gotten, it smells even worse now. We have circulated letters to those that irrigate their lawns, to please stop, we're in a 100-year drought. And we really have no information to indicate that that's been done. There's been some concern about water pressure, and being ready for have to fight a fire, being safe. And in that way, to some concern. And there has been, and there is a forecasting of something like 400 homes that will lose water with an irrigation wild card that are surely going to happen. If it's not 400, it's 300. 400 going over, by 3 or 4 homes, it's 300 and something. Looks like absolutely 283 homes are definitely coming soon. They're putting roads in. So knowing the limitations, knowing that Plant 2 down the road, that fantastic facility is needs help to operate, but the sulfur level is even higher there than it is here. What is it that we can do? Do any of the water professionals have any kind of like path forward for some kind of solution on our water? Let's start, Mr. Seaberg, can you lead us into this discussion from an engineering standpoint?
Well, Genesis is the water system on homes.
Can we get him to speak? That way, recorded, that'll be.
Right, that'd be great, yeah.
Is the mic on, Catherine?
And yeah, she's not in front of the God in my concern.
It is now.
Can you all turn on your microphones or that?
The water system was thought about, believe it or not, probably 50 years ago.
50 years.
50 years ago. It was the Rural Water Authority called the Roseberry Rural Community Water Authority. My father was involved in the engineering of that. And there also actually was involved in the discussions at the beginnings of the Roseberry Water District. Well, in the 90s, town council decided that try to develop a water system here for a number of reasons. Architecture, water quality, this to improve the communities. And so the process began with the application to the state to establish the water system. And also to the, what was then called Farmers Home Administration, which provided loans and grants to rural communities for water and sewer development. The town was able to get a grant and a loan for Farmers Home Administration. And there was enough money, this is simplified terms, this water plan. And previously gotten a grant for the county, well. Was from the team, so the well was here, it was not in use. This building was served by a small well in property, in one wooden house over on the side. So that application would have been a problem, or a difficult situation. I'm still with St. Farmers Home Administration, but that's where it started. As it did, generally produce about a 28-page letter of conditions. And thou shalt do this and thou shalt do that. We will provide you with information. So that worked on Farmers Home Farmers for years. It's a good program, but it takes years to get from an application. That's the term the first shove. And that was treated. In the meantime, application is made for this development and so it's up on the agenda. In the meantime, you may have heard of the democracy. If the money was granted to the states, by use, they be COVID. As I said, meeting we had yesterday, and certainly. Commerce. Secretary official of the state of South Carolina. Was the gentleman who previously owned water system. He worked through the process and got the town grant. They put in the distribution system. And the water tank. Phase two. Phase two was actually built. Started before, or I should say, it was approved before phase one was. And one. He had kind of. Not over the place. When it was in hand, part of it was bid and it was built and we were off and running. Subsequently. Down, received some other grants to extend some lines up on the other side of Highway 17. Well, not quite to the post office, back up this way as far as the building here, right opposite the road intersection. And also received a grant line from the white church on this side of 17, up to what used to be. Creative tenant. And that is the end of the forest. Forest property, right there, we're there. That. I'm interested in, sorry, that was. And I had to get a grant, I had to get a permit in forest lands to run the water on the city road. Even though. I don't know. Cedar Road existed before the forest. The forest service saying, you gotta get a permit. Maybe just another paper shop on this. Those are nothing. Stepping. The word plan knew it was the beginning of another round. Almost one day of not was what they would provide based on. Population. We know the income. There's a threshold above that. Income of the community above that point. Nobody's like that. No grant. I'm that. So basically. What the town has now. It's pretty much the extent of the existing possibilities that need to be rewritten and additional funds. What that might entail, what agencies may have, you can get a grant or a loan. Charleston County may be able to help. The United States of America, able to help. This need to be some source of income. Make the improvements. Now, what are the improvements? Because I say fairly recent, we fairly be at very gracious. Typically, the areas and things are going to be good for you. Had held the original permit of application, the original permit for construction open. The construction, which was fairly unusual. Well, it's a long person, we talked about an awful long years, almost growing and this works and improved and was serious and keep this permanent. Which they did. Anything new from now on, any kind of new construction will require a new permit. What's now being called environmental services. What can be done? This well, more quality and quantity better. Anyway, this well was tested 500 gallons per minute. Rating now is 350, 340, 350 gallons per minute. Plant two is tested and it's weighed 50 gallons per minute. And it's well pump is through 50 gallons a minute. Either one of those wells, flow could be increased, check the calculations and test results. By putting logic rules in wells.
And we
And
So we would need to put larger pumps.
larger pumps and probably set them on the lower. Because as you may well know, when you pump goes over, the oil level drops in the well. So the pump has to be deep enough so that the rate of flow being produced, it's pulling water in the air. Anybody's gonna. Well, if those oil pump air and water sometimes possibly move. So it needs to be done. Carefully, done, and get out of the property. The hydrogen sulfide content of this well is about 1 part per million. Different people sense it in different ways, but practically everybody that's completely ignored and sense the smell, we smell probably down 2/10 of the part per million and 1/10. So 1 part of it is somewhat hot. This well bounces around 2 parts per million. The original design was to treat the well with chlorine, which is an oxidizing agent, which will oxidize the sulfate in some cases. Some other, sulfur compounds. Problem is that it takes about 8 to 10 times as much chlorine to eliminate or produce significantly 1 part per million. Back up. It's about 8 to 10 times as much chlorine reduced 1 part per million of sulfide as it does to disinfect. The water is devoid of hydrogen sulfide. I don't know, pressure, you can reduce the 3 or 4 parts per million.
Yeah, for.
Probably. Down there with the.
That's right, you're.
So anyways, chlorine is a good oxidizing agent. But it takes a lot of it to work. There mentions, hydrogen peroxide, which is a liquid, which is another oxidizing agent. Ozone, another one, benefit of ozone is generating on site. Or you have to ship it on trucks and loaded on it's a hand truck. The other thing, the other possibility is the aeration. The chemistry for this particular water is not good for aeration alone. It would have to be pH adjusted. The lower the pH, higher the percentage of hydrogen sulfide is in gaseous state. So that could be stripped out by the water. pH here is 8 to 8.5 parts per million. I don't know if that's 8 to 8.5 moving up the pH scale, acid base scale. So if it's leaning toward alkaline water, to strip out the hydrogen sulfide, it needs to be slightly acidic. It's not less than juice, and so they can follow down to about 6.5. And that would shift the chemistry from dissolved sulfide to gaseous hydrogen sulfide. Hydrogen sulfide is an acid. So we can. So
How do you do that?
and sulfuric acid, hydrochloric acid.
Directly to the water
Yes.
or to the storage tank in which the water?
Well, it has to get to the water somehow. It would generally done, it would be generally done fluorine discharge, whatever's moving up in the back.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand what did you say?
I said it would typically be introduced into the discharge line, whatever's producing the water. from the back. It would have to be well mixed, there'd be turbulence in the pipe.
So it goes into the distribution line, it goes directly to the homes?
From the ground through the treatment to the tank.
Right, okay. So those are all solutions that could happen.
Good, yes.
And but they all seemingly were depend upon the tank to put the water in order to do that. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, the way the water.
You need a tank to put the water in order to do those various treatments. In other words, it doesn't work well just to have it come straight out of the water and go to people's homes.
No, we have the treatment system.
Okay,
System,
and that we don't have at plant two right now.
what you have to put into is chlorine injected into the discharge line.
Right, so that's not what you're talking about.
That's the first step.
An improvement, it needs a treatment system into.
Okay, and that seems to be this, or at least a huge part of the solution to the problem. Let's cut to the chase on all of this stuff.
The Jason, the problem, I'm not. This will be one second.
Let me call order for, hang on, Mr.
Yeah.
Seabrook is has the floor, he has the podium, and he's explaining, I think I'm trying to get that.
There would have to be some type of treatment of the raw water coming out of the ground before it is discharged to the consumer. Yes,
And
what that treatment would be one or some other type of thing that just means one of those possible.
so the ozone can be generated by an ozone generator,
Correct.
where we generate our own ozone with a generator on site. And that would be a more cost effective solution
That
that,
is a possible, that would certainly be. I'm not saying ozone is 100% safe. But years ago, when I was going to this work. Was disinfection was done for gas.
right,
And Mr. Mycroft may remember this. But contractors would use chlorine gas cylinders, they could hook them up with the pipeline and blast them in, sometimes there would be some leaks. That was not good for anybody. And so trees and yellow strips, like something the trees were blowing. The state of the water system.
It sounds like you've given 3 options. If you were to pick an option, which one would you pursue?
My preference for the first option, it's all gonna depend on the money too.
Let's just take money off the table first.
Money off the table. Because of the handling problems with having people outside. It's a liquid. Highly corrosive. Thinking before you ride, garlic, chlorine. Hydrogen peroxide, maybe.
hang on.
Sorry.
It'll take a second to start yourself off.
Repeat that, I'm sorry.
I said, hydrogen peroxide and chlorine becomes a liquid container. Have to be handled and transferred in the system. Ozone, just as corrosive. I did research with ozone when I was. And it can escape also, it escapes into the atmosphere, and there's certainly the possibility of dangerous conditions there also. So any of these 3 chemical treatments would have some safety factors involved. I don't know, I haven't studied the details, maybe how the chlorine situation works. Done some work with hydrogen peroxide, other than what I did with the school, I'm not dealt with. Ozone specifically is used. One of the reasons it's used in other water systems is that very effective disinfectant. It does not carry the residual in the system. Used You ended up with those, we still have to do chlorination after the treatment system to maintain chlorine residual in the piping. Because,
It's the law.
yeah, I was gonna say the operator has to take. Some.
It's a law. You have to approve.
So. But we're currently just using chlorine, right? We're not using any of these other things.
What about aeration? What about stripping of water? It seems like.
That, I didn't mention that again, but that's the one that had.
Sulfur.
It was certified and water for that. Is our lines, lines. So help me understand why we're adding a lot of chlorine, and I know from talking from there, there's a few issues, but I just want to understand better why the chlorine is not working. To take the, I mean, I know it's working probably in terms of disinfectants and other issues, but it's not working on the smell.
And I, that's.
Yes, of course.
We say, before plant two was in operation, you can describe what the situation was.
The amount of water that we're using right now is 250,000 gallons a day. And Captain's got all this, and they're really trying to do a good job with this drought. But the fact is, the hydrogen sulfide itself is going up because of the use of the aquifer in this area. And the way we're controlling the chlorine, we've put in, I know, options to improve it. But when we're flowing at those rates, compared to last year was about 100, the years before were in the 50s to 70s. We've been up to, it was 300, almost 400,000 gallons a day.
Of one time.
Of water in it.
A day.
A day.
Like I
So
said,
chlorinating it with a system that was 16 years ago designed, I mean, it did a great job, but it's not for 4 times the flow rates. And what happens is this, that we'll get the way the system is designed, it looks like a spiker. So for us, we can't flush right now. We can't flush each leg, which we did last year, when we had in the summer, and we were getting not even 1/3 of the complaints. Like right now, we're really at a level that it's never been seen. And the actual chlorine injection part of it is not 100% because of the fact is how much water is just moving out of it and heading to the irrigation areas, which really is that Pamlico Terrace is new in one point, but it takes all the water going this way. And it really, as far as bringing it all the way up towards Seaweed Road and the other side of 17 and way up 17, it's not gonna, I don't have that kind of, I can't put it up past a disinfection byproduct. So we can't add, and we've never failed disinfection. So disinfection byproducts are a lot more dangerous than 0.01 hydrogen sulfide. Except people smell, and it's all across the board like these. People can smell it in parts per billion, and it's hard water with that. So if you're ever used to a surface water, which not only the TDS, but the calcium part, then you add hydrogen sulfide. You're really getting a water quality that most of the people that just moved here have never been used to at all. And you can't, it's only one location right now that we're putting chlorine in. So to have a residual 16 miles away and having it at a level, we would fail DHEX disinfection byproduct, which is carcinogen. And we never failed. So our, the variables we're dealing with, smell complaints at 4 times the rate that we're running, or disinfection byproduct issues. So that's where we're running. It's an A or B, what are we gonna do?
So, Mr. Seabrook, thank you, like your knowledge and you're the keeper of the history. And the engineer of this water system, we appreciate your.
May I say something else?
Please.
Yeah, the question.
I do have a question, I know we are focused on everybody's irrigating their lawns, but really the elephant in the room is. My neighborhood used to be 13 houses. It's now about to be 41. They've got 6 more opportunities, in case anybody was looking, there's a sign on the road. Same with Pamlico Terrace. I mean, let's say we do a pump to help. But I'm afraid we're still not planning for the future. Like, if we are to do that, maybe this is where we transition to your recommendations. I mean, we know we still have, would you say 200 houses coming in the next year, and we still don't know past that, we've still got some other tracts of land that have yet to.
It's greater than that. It's greater than.
Right, I'm just saying in the near future, like you said, I mean, we still have tracts of land where they're not building roads yet, but their homes, their PDs are approved. And I'm just. I always like to get ahead of a problem if at all possible, and so. If you were to fix it, if you had a crystal ball, like, I know exactly how many homes they're gonna have in 10 years. What would you recommend? Because this. For drought conditions or no drought conditions, the pressure on the water system is not gonna get. Any less, because of sheer population numbers, and all of these homes are a minimum 3 to 4 bedrooms, most of them are 4-bedroom. And I know some of them are empty nesters, but a lot of them are families, and that's a lot of bubble baths. And teenage girl showers, and a lot of laundry with sports, with, soccer, lacrosse and all the other stuff, so, I mean. I know we keep focusing on irrigation, but let's really expand what the problem is. It's. Can our water system support 800 more homes or 600 more homes, or like, where's the break point?
Let me answer the question the same way I was gonna go through with. First of all. The fact that this is a. Long. System. And it is not interconnected. The way it loops in the water system, there's gonna flow in the system, there's convection in the system. Pressure, it's just, everything's. Several years ago, this is just an example, several years ago, Fish and Wildlife Service approached the town about running a. Water line from. Basically. Post office, is where the line is, just short of the post office, out to the. Office in the irrigation there. We gave. That time Mr. Wallace was dealing with them. And we gave them an estimated cost to do that. The problem. Was the cause, one of the causes, in fact, this is not their system is national parks. There will be 2 users on this line reconnected. Creative counterparts to the animal and the goat farm. And the church. And the Fish and Wildlife Service, which were generally. No money. Water usage, maybe. $30 a month or something, I mean, something ridiculous. So it was never. Seen as a. Viable opportunity for the typical grant. People would say, yeah, we'll pay for the water, which will go for the commitment. Yeah.
If we did that, and I do have I have a meeting scheduled with Mr. Carter as we speak to discuss that. He's happy, so let's get together. So if we did that, what effect would that have on our water system?
It would make it a whole lot easier for the children to control
It would save a lot of money in flushing. Because each leg will not have to use that much water to displace to get the chlorine residual off. Cause some of these dead legs, they're using, I would say less than 100, a small trailer a day. And to try to displace chlorine all the way up to that house, like in some probably old Fort Chase School, something, it takes manpower, water, you're wasting water. I mean, that's not a waste of gas, but to me, you're flushing until you get a chlorine residual for your flush. And I think that Obviously, it would have worked out a lot better originally, and it probably was in originally. And like, I don't know, I know that the planning was looking at, cause they really, they planning right now. As if they're a little ahead of what this meeting is, and they understand something. But it would help costs, period.
It would create the missing loop. So,
On this, on the south side. On the north side. There were discussions with Berkeley Co-op. They built their facility up here on, Long Creek. For them to drill a well, it was done. They were involved in the discussion, but maybe one day that will be added to the overall system. Problem is, that was so much of that, real worse than the our plant too. The other part of that is to get there. Line ends, what I call little city. What do they call it, little city camp, line stops there, so you have to go line all the way up to Berkeley Co-op. And then come back down. The Shea School Road. The old Methodist church, which is now the community center. There's a development counties, right here on the road. Phase one is being constructed, if I get the names all confused, so one can have, anyway, phase two.
Which one?
Romaine Bay.
Is that the door white track?
yeah.
Yes,
Thank you.
they are planning to build houses up to within probably 200 feet of Highway 17. Talk to the property owner. See if he will grant an easement to the town, and tell this developer, and you can do, right, part of your deal, is you gotta connect the end of your line. To Highway 17. Then you'd have loops on both ends, you have a short ledge, still before the Shea School Road. But you would have nothing. Much better.
Isn't that also an option on that long development across from Granny Lane? I think you had it in your report, the guy that owns a piece of property is from New York.
That's for Ludwig Maxwell.
Yeah. Right.
Mr. Ron Scott has a piece of property that he inherited from this family years ago, and he moved to New York. We've sent 2 letters to him, certified that we received it. And
Right. But if we could get permission to cross his land, there's another loop.
That would move a lot of the system in this area right here.
Yeah.
Cause the 2 developers, we've asked them, and they're looping their systems, phase 1 and phase 2, back on the Jewel Road and on the Seaweed Road. So those systems do not move dead end, they're going to loops back to the Seaweed Road and to Jewel Road as far as these 2 developments are concerned. And they're doing it at their expense. One other option, several years ago, there was a plan put forth to develop property between Ono Village and Seaweed Run. Yeah.
Mhm.
We go away and that stuff over there, there's a 500 section, and I was in, hopefully the master plan I did a year ago or so on that. But it's through the marsh, you have to run an 8-inch line to tie it into the end of theirs. To both of them together, and that the 500 section of 8-inch main, but it's through the marsh, and that's not gonna be cheap.
It's gonna be sound ecologically. You're at home story.
I have one more thing. Just to go out. I'll admit, and I thought about this on the way up, because
This is it, this is gonna be it.
these developers. These numbers that Chris was talking about, we're still pretty rural. Y'all have been attacked, I shouldn't say attacked, y'all have been inundated. With developers. Making postage stamp lots. High density. And town has to agree to serve. And doesn't have to, in order for these folks to get the permit. And just to run a letter to the need to see. Now has the ability to serve. Operating into water system in this subdivision, it's called the subdivision. DX standard, average flow from subdivision onwards, 242 gallons per day. 42. These new subdivisions use way more than that. This is where it gets away with engineering and politics and thinking and all that. With some of the other utilities in the city, we are basing our agreement using one foot that you can. You know, Pleasant's 300. Alabama is 245, what we see. All I know is 242. You, through your historical records, can show that some of these folks is more than that. I think you ought to go back to them and say, look, we agreed to serve you 242 gallons per day. You're using whatever the number is. Come to the paper. I don't know how you do that. Because these other utilities do say that. Also, in commercial situations, in residential, you use all of the basically line. And we was only going to come on. What was happening? They're consuming water capacity, but they're always still.
Yeah. So Ron, there's a big old valve, right, that goes into these. I know, on the one on Seareed Road, the big valve.
They both have 6-inch, double check valve, reduced pressure back over the.
So we can limit the flow into the development.
That's during the construction period of the water system. Once the system is approved and it's part of our system, becomes part of our system, they take that out. Every house would have a meter.
Well, what you're saying is if there's 242 gallons a day times the number of houses, is there a way we can control the daily? Water?
Sure.
Yeah.
Have the rate increases the percent where if they exceed a certain parameter of gallons, the price goes double or triple, and they'll stop using it. And you gotta hit them in the pocket or it don't help.
Yeah.
And I say also, that on any future developments. And then. I don't know how to comment on these notes, but how do you do that?
I was wondering that same thing, is
But
it,
anyway, to make that clear. And I always say, we were. I belong with this system that been in operation, that's 242, really, but demographics and. These new developments are coming in at 300, better than 242. They're coming in the regular standard rates.
how many caps do we have now?
400, we're delivering 400, right now, 400 residential and 36 commercial. That's the number that we're serving now. You wanna know how much is going on beyond that, I've got a list of it here.
That's been and some comments, that's appropriate.
Yeah, I think so. I appreciate y'all giving Mr. Seabrook the floor. I do, you're quite a resource, and again, thank you for being here. And we appreciate you remaining available for us. So yeah, any questions for Mr. Seabrook, and I would like to, next I'd like to ask Mr. Crossley.
Or right, really, as far as.
Everybody's gonna get a chance. Okay. Take them out of the order. So then go ahead, Sprout.
Well, I'm learning more and more about all this stuff as it goes along. But, our current water rates, our ordinances, for the, 0 to 5,000 gallons is $4 per thousand.
Yes.
And over 5,000, up to any amount is $5 per thousand.
Yes.
According to Google AI, average residential water use is roughly 300 gallons a day. Which is pretty close to your 242 gallons that apparently DES uses in some way. So that's what you would expect people to utilize. And the current rate that we've got going now, just say 300 gallons a day times 30 days, 9,000 gallons, the first 5,000 is $20. The next 4,000 is $20, so that's $40 for the monthly water bill at 300 gallons a day. On our current rate structure. You shaking your head, no, that's not.
No, or you could almost sell it to another utility because they haven't raised rates in 17 years.
That was something that we may be considering.
How they get,
But,
no, I'm sorry.
Rates are going up.
and Mr. Wyckoff is absolutely not. You give them a reasonable rate for 300 gallons a day, anything more than that, they're gonna pay dearly for it. To the extent that they're not gonna use it, okay, that's how you fix that problem.
Right.
And all that takes is a vote of town council to do it.
You know. It's to balance that, okay? You've got developers and developments in this area where those people, they can pay that and it's not gonna hurt them.
You've
If
got
you've got
the balance.
you've got a community of this, in this territory, that's been here forever and ever, then some of them are not gonna be able to afford that. So you gotta look at that when you look at the rate study.
They're not gonna be using more than 300 gallons a day. The people that have been here for all these years, some of them aren't even using any gallons a day, because they're not even hooked into the town.
That's right, there's no private well.
Yes, and one of the issues that I would like to get to with all this, I see we have maps, I can't really read them. But and these are, I think, engineered maps of where the water system was supposed to go, not where it actually goes. So for example, the road I live on, Limehouse Road, there's no down water system.
We get like that, we're here where we are with what we've got, now we gotta figure out what to do with what we've got. We can't go back and argue how it didn't happen.
This is part of it. This we're talking about going forward in the future, okay?
Okay,
Let's move through like a, Mr. Seabrook, does anybody have any more questions for Mr. Seabrook?
Well, yeah, I do.
Alright, what is?
With a lot of different questions, I mean, this from Mr. Seabrook, from Mr. Bycroft, for Mr. Cross, and for the other fellow we hadn't heard from yet. There's the issue of capacity, so about that. The issue of capacity, and from what I see from your report, it appears that the town has plenty enough capacity to serve all these new homes. The volume of water that we have that we can provide is sufficient to serve these homes.
let's address that, we'll address, let me complete my statement, okay?
Okay.
We have the capacity to address the needs that these people are asking for. However, it's gonna have hydrogen sulfide, it's gonna stink like all get out.
I'm just talking about the water coming out of the ground.
We have enough to do that, it's not, that it's not potable, it's that it smells horrible.
Right, but still, as we've heard time and time again, it meets all safety and health department regulations. That we're not gonna be in trouble from that.
To the best of my knowledge, yes.
Okay,
And also, the quantities.
what's that?
The quantity of water is there too.
Yeah, okay, well, let me play the movie out, you know, what I'd like to see is where the system is right now. And who it's serving, so as I mentioned, there's not on Limehouse, I don't think there's any on Granny's Lane, I don't think there's any on City Bluff Road.
Those three roads, each of you should have a copy of this,
I do.
that's the water system, that's.
I understand that, but if you look at it, it's an engineered drawing about where the water lines are supposed to go, not where they are actually physically located.
Yes, sir, this is exactly where they're located. I can't first.
I don't want to argue this point, but I'm telling you, they're not on the house road. I live on.
The plans that were presented to Farmers Home Administration included those three.
I know, you told me that to my face, that Limehouse was one of the ones that was dropped because the town ran out of money. Didn't have enough money to make it work. So here's where I'm headed with all of this, where is it? And how many people can it serve? All right, we've got, what are they, 12-inch lines? Or the 8 lines that go down Door Road, go down City Road.
Linear road, see.
Okay.
and 17 all have toilets.
And outdoor road is for 12.
As far as can see.
Okay, so those are already there, they're in the ground. Those are the main distribution lines. They're the ones that are this sort of.
There was
form the
some-
basis of the spy that you got.
There was some discussion from some folks, to me, well, why don't you reduce the size of these 12-inch meetings? And save some money, and I said, no, we're not gonna do that. And the reason is just what we're talking about today, is because in order to give the best service for what we can do, we needed to have the 12-inch meetings because of the length of the.
But they're there now, we're not talking about digging them up.
No,
Let's talk about stuff that we can't do. So those lines are there.
Correct.
And all of these developments that are coming along, they all have access to those main lines. All right, they're gonna have to install those lines. Game Track does what they do, they'll have to go up Suey Road and tie into that 12-inch main. When the White Track does whatever it is they're gonna do, they're gonna have to start up at Suey Road and tie into that 12-inch main, because there's no water line that runs down. The Bulls Bay Road to the boat lands.
Correct.
The folks up here that are building this, whatever they call it, they change their names like people change their socks, but whatever it's called nowadays, they gotta come tie into the 12-inch main that's on Door Road. And they pay for that themselves, the town doesn't pay for that.
That's correct.
So, and all of the lines that are inside of their neighborhoods, the developers pay for that too.
That's
And it's my current understanding that those are gonna be owned and maintained by the people that live in those neighborhoods.
It will be owned and maintained by the town of Malden.
Really?
Once they turn over to the town.
So we have titles to those.
We will, the time comes.
So I'm unaware of any of that being given to the town. So
That's routine in the West.
well, so let me just ask the question there, I don't even know what it's called, the one on City Road, Wendy, that's it was the guy who did your neighborhood, it was.
OCB Ryan.
Yeah, get ready to do the Harper Valley stuff. They have given us a title to their water system.
You own the water system in town, yes.
So they have given us a title to them.
I don't know what the.
Well, I mean, that has to happen. They can't just say it's ours without a document.
I would say that for current developments have already built, I'm not sure if they have given us title to the property, but what we are working on for future developments down the road, I think this gets to me one a little bit. Is for developers to sign a contract, laying out what they're agreeing to, laying out their conveys like in the town.
That may very well be going forward, but to my knowledge, none of that has occurred to date.
They create an easement, a 20-foot easement for the utility to go through.
I
And
understand.
they dedicate that to us as a water easement, and they also dedicate in terms of water system over to us.
I've looked at the plats, I haven't seen any dedication statements on those that are turning anything over to the town. I don't see. I don't, well, I mean, I did this for 30 years in a career. I don't see any documents that have been legal documents that have been prepared and given to the town and accepted by the town and reported accepting these things, okay? So that's where I'm coming from. But anyways, regardless of that, they pay for it, it's there. They're gonna own it and maintain it, or the town's gonna own it and maintain it, one or the other. So.
My idea,
Well, whatever the case may be, that's good to know, but it's there and we didn't pay to install, this is the point I'm trying to make. But it will be there if it's ours to maintain in perpetuity, then it's gonna be ours to maintain in perpetuity. And that just goes more into. You know, how do you pay for it, and you don't want to charge people property taxes to pay for a water system that they have no benefit to use. So you go to the people that are using it and you get the money through the rate structure. It's because they're the ones using it, they're the ones that should pay for it.
Potentially, there's another way to look at that. I just gotta like, call time out for a second. Like, here's what I was hoping. Was to hear from the people, the professionals that are here that know more about the water system than we do. And then to save our questions after we have all that information, because they may answer some of our questions in process. And then once everybody's given us their professional perspective. Here, Mr. Seaver went first, then we would come to a question.
Okay,
Does that do that? That suit everybody?
thank you.
May I say one thing about your question? These developments have to get a permit for land construction activities from the state of South Carolina.
Right,
I review portions of the plans that they submit. Planning department reviews some, going reviews bills. I do not review the drainage or road reports in any official capacity in the town. And the reason I don't do that is because the roads and drainage should not be, should never be dedicated to the town. Because you don't have a public works department. You don't have the tractors and dump trucks, all of that to maintain stormwater and drainage and roads. So very firmly, I let these folks know that town is not accepting any of those improvements for long-term maintenance. And talking about, there's over somebody said 3 or 4 years ago, we got a first call about that. And it was my job to see the roads and turn over to the state of South Carolina, the county, the highway, and they said we will never. It was not, oh, well, we'll see about that. Don't accept any roads and bring it to stone. It just cannot be. So we require them to get the permit from the state. And at the end of the day, provide to the town. Clearance documents from the state saying you're clear from the stormwater maintenance operation and all that stuff. So that may be part of the water system different than the town will own that, not the drainage. Could be.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you, Mr. Seaver. So whoever, Ron or Chris or whoever would like to go next.
I'll go, I'm loud.
I know, yeah, it's better for the hours.
So. HN Northcott's been treating water in Wanda for 55 years. We've been operating and working with Nikki, who designed the system. And we started about 17 years ago. So as far as the operation side and me commenting on impact fees. Because that sounds like to me, and we do have something from rural law. This idea of how these subdivisions are impacting, I think that's the word, and how the town itself can monetize that. Is one of these important questions, along with how much water do you have? Which this is the big supply and demand is mine, and I've been kind of. The irrigation calculations for even just one subdivision that went online. During a drought wasn't even close. So. People explaining like you're not gonna be able to irrigate, they have no, because they're under water restrictions, and you can look it up on AI. All of us under a water restriction, the actual numbers did not drop, they came up. So we're at a time right now where we really get to look at where you should spend your money. And the money on two will take a treatment system that might take up to, I'm not positive because I deal with permits daily. I'm having a permit for a school a backup well for a school with over 300 people in it, and it takes 6 months. So a treatment system with any new like peroxide, that's out. First of all, and actually South Carolina Rural Water Association's here. So if they know of someone using ozone, they use strippers. I've been involved in that. They've been using strippers since everybody here probably had a server if you've lived here. So, but now, today's technology, now 10 years, because that's the most important part. 5 years. Look how 5 years, and peroxide right now, like Nikki said, they're shipping it in barrels. Ozone, you can manufacture it, but ozone's got I. So all these things are really going on all the way across the. Like, what's the best oxidant? And then just using chlorine as a disinfection. But chlorine is not, I mean, think about it. When someone writes you, don't feed your fish this. But that's not the only problem with the water here, it's hard. The water's hard, but all other municipalities, most of the country have hard water. And they address it at their own house.
At their own what?
At their own expense.
Okay.
They have softeners, everybody's here with softener. And then we have natural soft water like you do.
You
So-
mean the individual homeowner addresses.
Yeah.
At their house.
They're not gonna soften, this would not be a treatment system that you guys would be paying for hardness and hydrogen sulfide. Because hydrogen sulfide is a big thing. And hydrogen sulfide, the difference right now is well 2 is not near being ready because of 2 things, which is the tank. The tank, they have a 200,000 gallon tank that is not in use, except me and the fire department have made a deal saying we filled it, we flush it occasionally so that the fire department has 200,000 gallons at any time. We have their connections on it, but it's not approved by DHEC yet. So very important when you're doing budget is that, just even have it on for life. So that not only choose treatment, and I'm going back to the permit stuff, it can take 3 years to get a treatment system. And I'm just being what I'm having the DHEC say you can use whatever else. And so, but that's kind of a little bit on my operations, because I've never applied to DHEC for a town's water system treatment using different disinfections and oxygen. So, but we know that having something for cost, it would be great to look into in South Carolina Rural Water Association and DHEC. If the water plans, let's look into that, because it's just how far out. That means I know for a year, 1 year out, you're not gonna have a treatment system. But I would start, and they've done a wonderful job. Catherine, Ron, and actually Dan have thought, but they're really handcuffed completely because of money. I mean, if you don't have any money, you've had improvement things. My biggest concern right now, and I'm gonna bring this up. You don't have clean power. You don't have anything when it goes to. And this is ever since you've been here, ever since Ron's been here, ever since you need a generator, and you need a generator. I'm just, every year, I think 4 years ago I came and said the exact same thing. The first priority was, you lost power this Saturday. You have never been down because we've reacted, but we are not gonna be able to staff. When you have all this stuff on us, going to have to staff it. And I know they're trying, we've talked about it, and getting staff's hard, because I have to. But you're going to have to take accountability. And that's these emergencies, what's going on. You're building a clientele of people that are gonna be on the phone, talking, complaining. And right now, like, we've seen it go up tremendously just because of the water they're not, because hydrogen sulfide and hardness. The housewives have a hardness and having to clean the whole time on their brand new house is gonna be problematic. So having this problem and being behind on your budgets is, like anything, you're gonna have to throw a lot of money. And for operations wise, we're just catching. I mean, we're in compliance right now. Everything, and we have that. That is a miracle. It truly is. With how this thing's built, how much money you've spent on it, and actually what operations, we're all retired, I'm almost 70. The people that have been operating this and really care about your water system has to be you. So when that comes up, you're gonna get, because I know there's options of being an operator. I know you do have a lot of concerns about the future, how much supply. Now, they can talk, but I've looked at all the numbers, me personally, and it might be justice, I'm nuts, but I'm not. You have 2 wells, they're 350 gallons in there. You have storage, I've seen where your storage dropped. And I'm really a big advocate of fire protection. And they do, they have fire codes. And if I asked everybody here, what do they know about fire codes, the whole town? Well, thank God we have a new, you've met, we have a new, captain, yes. And that's going to be, he's gonna implement that. And when you go, this is impact, like anytime you could get these developers at all. And I'm not, I don't negotiate with developers, but a town can negotiate with them. And you're not. They didn't pay anything up front. No rates have been done. The rate cases, this is the 3rd time I've been talking about rate cases in the last 15 years. And what have you ever used that has not gone up in 17 years? In water, believe it or not, that resource is in, you'll find out, you're going to find out. And then you have already, like I don't even know how she ends. She has these people that it's going to be endless, this stream of people going, we can't use water, then you have developers, we want to flush, and then we want to flush quarterly to help the town. Because that brings chlorine to areas where people, they're not getting chlorine because of the system wasn't designed for 2026 with all these people coming online. And 132-year drought is big. So you go, we're under water restrictions. I know they don't have the authority to do that. And I think if you gave Brown authority to do that, that they would be restrictions. But it's really a longer legal thing that I've had no experience restricting homeowners from using their ways around, but they have, like I said, it actually went up. It went up because of heat, summer, all this. So my recommendations is to get some and put it, really get, Rural Water Association is an incredible and not only resource, but he could tell you, and Mickey too, he deals with DEC every day. And Mickey, and I've talked to him about this, is getting to find out, is anybody using ozone? Can we get the 200,000 gallon tank so I can use that to put in the line? And I'm now running 300 with a backup of 200. I'm running 350 clean water that's just hard, but no hydrogen sulfide. Like, how fast can that happen? So it's not gonna happen at all if somebody doesn't monetize. And if you're not, this will be I come in here, I don't know if I'll see you next year, but I understand one thing. You have to do that. You're going to, I know there's other options because I always look at what other sourcing you have. You know that, but right now you don't have the numbers. Those are the 2 sources you. And the numbers that everybody looks at, how about this, you can probably get him involved, and I know Mickey's been involved, and Ron's been looking at it and planning now. They're doing a good job trying to get it under their arms around it, because they're really not sure between 300 and 400. Is that right? You guys don't know if they're gonna bring 300 or line or 400. Think about it, this town, what it's been in that significant amount, because it's not that you just said. All of that number, 300 and 242, that how they calculate it is fixture units in a house. You go to a new house and you go, what are they keeping? That's how that's actually, that formula is doing. Fixture units in a house. Look at the houses in on 10 years, actually 17 years. Now look at the fixture units in one of these houses that you just went. They have bathroom, sink, bar sink, blah. I mean, so that number, you regulating 242, that's not a reality. It's a reality. They just bought a house with all these fixture units on them. They have, like you said, 4 to 5 bedrooms. They have whatever amount of baths. They're using their water and they are going to irrigate. Now, Dunes West, which we've worked on, I would say half of those people have wells for their irrigation. I'm against, because the footprint of what you have, you get a well, a septic well, septic well, and they're all on your aquifer anyway. Your aquifer is not improving in quality. So putting 80 wells, I mean, I don't care about the money, profits, who makes all that. I'm just saying, if you as a senior hydrologist come in and you're where you live, remain retreat, we've had up to 6 parts per million. So we would have to use chlorine almost back to gas. Just to even true. So there's number of treatment in South Carolina that might be novel. And what I mean by it's been approved, and I would look into that. I mean, it's you guys. I mean, just telling you a story, and believe it or not, there was a business plan that said this town could be viable on their water system. And first of all, they should read. I mean, it's this thick. It was up 2004 probably. But that has to be done on any public water system. You have to have a business plan to say this is viable. I think that's really important. I mean, all these grants and everything that you probably don't qualify for anymore.
We do now qualify because we're caught up on our audits.
Oh, here. So I mean, there is, like, to me, I just talked about the fire one, where I did talk to your fire department. And they're thinking about putting some tanks, and that's more Dan, and I'm sure that, I don't know if you two have talked to them. But they have grants, Dan talked to the fire department, about just having some grants where they would have a well, filled up a tank, and they would have at least a little bit more fire protection. Cause as soon as the water, these tanks are drained, which is one tank, you have 220, that's 200,000. 200,000 gallon tank, and it's really not usable now. It's whatever, it's 183 or whatever the number is. As soon as it's drained, which is drained at about 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock every day. That's gone. And if you had a fire, it's 1,000 gallons a minute for as long as it takes to put the fire out. Which could be 2 hours. He did a simulation for Seawee Outpost. And it doesn't look promising. It looks very dim. I'm fine. So I think the responsibility is, how do we finance this? How do you claw back some of the money you're losing? I mean, on a monthly, right? You figured it out, I think. Just how much on impact fees, like people that are around you that run water systems, that how much they make when a development comes in. That you have to see, how can we claw back the impact fees through lawyers, whoever knows how to do that the best. I would start that. I will. You have all these people going like this, there's an impact to your water system, and your water system literally, I just said, 340 gallons a minute. At 10 gallons a minute for an irrigation system, that's one summer. All your water is gone. So I didn't mean to be a barrier, but if you don't spend money, it's your utility. And there's a lot of people that it's your charge, like that's what the planner said. The charge is that the town does it. Make sure, even, I don't care, I can't, because I can't do anything about it. I can't put that much food. But I do care about one of those fires, and you see it, now you see it's a little bit more, you get a little dry, there's a very dry winter. A fire with some of this new stuff going, it's problematic. So that's my spiel, is get more money and spend it wisely.
And one clarification coming online would be the preserves that we found phase 1 and 2 in Romaine Bay, which is now the Waukesha Trail, it's 280 homes.
280 homes, that's happening, right?
Yeah, and that's our meeting, really, and the people you have at the town right this second are really doing a good job of what they get to, that they have with no money.
So, well, Thank you for what Nation North Coast doing and has been doing for the town, keeping us clear with potable water, it's a big deal. And, you know, it's not bad, but it's Christmas, and that's a big, and when I'm up here early, as I sometimes are, you either beat me here or here right after I get you. And I've talked to you several times, and your employees, your reports, everybody's been fortunate and willing to share. So thank you for that, the service that you do for the town. I understand that flushing is not, quarterly flushing was a thing. It's not a thing now.
We were at monthly. When we had our best results, we were doing it close to month. That's way too much fun. That's why I'm saying staffing.
And that's a staffing problem or?
It's full on
Or
staffing,
wasting water.
staffing, and both, the both right now.
But if we were flushing monthly. Would it circulate that chlorine and help?
It would.
So
It would. We're just at a point where you don't have the water to do that at all, right now, in the middle of the summer, really, you know.
And that's what I thought I understood. And so your basic recommendation, to summarize what you just said, is get some money. Right? And then once we get some money, we need to, I think you would.
Buy a generator.
Buy a generator. We got grants coming for generators, but we have that. Now that we're available, we can apply. I think we've got an ongoing grant. But to treat the water with ozone potentially to look around, people are using ozone for municipal water, we'll have researched it. And it is a done thing, it's a happening thing.
Because it's really a pre-treatment. It really is. It's a pre-treatment, then you have residents time, they might need filters with something to filter the precipitate. And then the chlorine's just less.
And you're not having to ship it in tanks.
Yeah, you're not dealing with the cost of shipping.
And ozone generators are really not that expensive if AI can be trusted. So get the money, spend it on, let's just say, ozone generators for backup when power goes out. Ozone generators, but then did you say a $200,000 another tank?
No, is to get the tank you have now. It's better.
So phase two, that 200,000 gallon tank, get that one ready.
Right.
Okay, that's it, and that's what we do with the money is potentially ozone treatment and phase two.
Yeah, it starts with permit, you need a permit. So it has to be designed.
Right.
That system has to be designed. So that's Mickey designs water systems.
Yeah.
So that part, then during that part, they would have both the booster, you have capabilities which they had original design. But you put two online, then it immediately gives you 200,000 pound of water. With that, those two, like get that moving.
200,000 gallons of stinking sulfur rich water.
Right now, you can't even use the tank. You can't even use, they can't, the fire department, they can go use.
Go ahead.
Question.
it.
This is just for my own information, because I have people asking this question, and I don't know the correct answer to give them, but I heard you say that across the country, hard water is a problem.
Right.
But then our water has another layer with the sulfate, right?
Right.
So we have like a combo problem. So when I have a neighbor ask me like, I'm thinking about getting a water softener. Is that gonna fix their problem, or do they need a water filtration system? Because I think people are using them interchangeably, and while we are aware of people who don't have those resources, a lot of people moving here do have those resources. And I just wanna make sure we understand if we're asked, you don't need a water filtration, you need a water softener or vice versa.
It's really a system that removes hydrogen sulfide because it's a gas. Separate, and it smell, taste, and odor that a catalytic carbon, and it uses oxygen, kind of like a stripper. But it doesn't soften water. A water softener is a separate entity. It is, and there's a bunch of stuff, and I mean, and everybody does their own research on cost. But they have one that doesn't use salt. But we have not found it at all effective, because if there's any iron at all, and it just doesn't soft water like a cation resin softening. So any information, I'll make sure Catherine, they have on that, because we've been doing it for a very, very long time. And I know that the cost, obviously, it's even like RO, where you're taking it to a membrane. And you go, we want this as far as our drinking. Towns would never be able, you would never be able to get the capital to do that at this big of a scale.
But you had indicated that individual homeowners across the country are sort of taking that responsibility.
They do, and they have, so Culligan, this is a really short story.
Yeah.
Everybody's heard of it. Culligan used to just bring a tank out for hardness, and cation removes iron also. So that whole $1 billion business is because people have had hard water, and the town can't usually treat. I know they do, like they add lime and it turns into a monster. So it does, it's a really big treatment process to try to treat a town for hard water.
But it's on the homeowner level.
Yes, up there and a hydrogen sulfide removal. Those two.
Is that, can
Good, please.
I dovetail? Cause you put a wonderful system in my house.
Thank you.
I don't know what it is, in my garage, there are 2 tanks and a big salt bin that I keep.
And it's exactly what she, yes,
And
That's what I'm trying to
then
see.
under my kitchen sink
is a
is an RO that feeds a little faucet on my sink and feeds my refrigerator.
Right.
I love my water's great. But why can't, tell me again,
It's not cost effective to do it on the
so it seems to me, there's so much you can do at the wellhead, right? The origin of the water. And then the rest of it has to be done at the other end of the line, at each individual house.
Point of use and point of entry.
Point of use, point of entry, I like that, yes.
So, right now, as soon as it comes out of the well, the only form of treatment we have currently is chlorine. The problem, once again, disinfection byproducts are when chlorine meets any organic and creates a carcinogen. There's another one, haloacidic. So that that's exactly what you do.
Alright, and I want this on the record because I've said this before. We have a communication problem. People come in and as soon as they buy our stinky well water, they expect it to be designed. And it's hard to do that. And now we have these new big developments coming in, and I can guarantee you. You go into the sales office of those places, that sales agent in there is not telling them, hey, we have pretty crappy water around here. So now we're gonna add these hundreds of new residents who ain't from around here. And they're gonna be wondering why they're not getting decided. We need to communicate that to nobody else, to those salespeople, and I'll do it. But we need some sort of documentation.
Catherine's been doing it.
Yeah.
Catherine has actually sent a lot of information about hydrogen sulfide with Ron about what it is, like what it is they're smelling,
Yeah.
what they can do. And it's really, I think, we're back to the same thing.
Okay, good, thank you.
You're overrunning a 17-year-old system. You're not and think about it, it's 17 years old. They put money into it, minimal. They don't have a generator. I mean, did you see why I said that many times? I've been up here on almost every hurricane at that 1,000-year flood. You're going to get hit. I mean, you're just riding on this. We're really lucky, and you really are. I know SCDOT is probably gonna hit a main line just because in the last whatever amount of years, they just dig wherever they want. And when they hit a main line like that, it's gonna shut everything down because you don't have a staff either. You've downsized others. So you have no emergency people to handle that. And it really is something I know they tried it very fast. But the fact is, I kind of think it's you guys. It's a money. You got to have, now you just moved up to the big leagues with DR Horton. And I mean, now they're gonna demand.
Well, we're taking,
So available.
we're taking it so seriously, that's why you're here.
Well, you were talking about schedule rates and rates. If you look at Mount Pleasant, I know people on Sullivan's Island that have $1,500 bills. That's exactly what you want. You want somebody to go like this, I have $1,500 bill, it's like, yeah, might wanna come back. Cause right now, they have no enforcement of what just happened. You have water restrictions, they're on the computer, that if you looked it up on AI, that said you're like one of the coastal towns that have water restrictions. The only people that don't know that are the people that are using it, that they have no enforcement. I'm sorry.
I work for another small town, work for the town of Hollywood. Chris hit the nail on the head, these national builders have run out of space in Mount Pleasant and Charles Clinton. You know, how would all work again? All I know is the only place in town, y'all are it, y'all are famous. Because they can build their subdivisions, small lots, expensive houses, cheaper here than Canyon Cross. That's just a fact. So,
Well, was a fact.
And you have the cheapest rates in the world.
And the cheapest rates in the world, and one of the facts that's probably right, there's a lot of work, like moratorium going on that. Making them, that's why I spelled it. Any questions for Christopher Cross before we sort of move through our panel and move into?
I have a question. So. If the 200,000 gallon tank at plant 2 was operational in accordance with the original design specifications and was permitted, fully functional, would that help our situation?
It would as far as quantity of water,
Not quality, okay, so when you say you don't have the water. That's where I'm confused too, is that because that 200,000 gallon tank is not operational? Because the well pumps a certain amount of water, no matter what. It can go out on the ground, it can go into a tank, it can go to distribution lines to people's houses. So, I mean, and we have enough water to serve the needs of all these new homes that are coming in.
but it's not quality.
The quantity we do have.
Yeah, well. If you the statement you made is that 200,000 gallon tank was usable in the system currently. You would have the quantity to really help.
Okay.
It would really, mostly on fire.
Let me ask you this then, it seems like in all the discussion that we've had. That would be one of the first things that we would want to establish to get that 200,000 gallon tank operation.
After your generator.
After the generator.
Yes,
The generator's gonna be a whole lot cheaper to get that thing online.
it's about 100 grand.
Well, I think this other one's probably more than 100, isn't it?
But I'm gonna make a statement, I know I go on, because I actually love this. I really like the water bills. The municipal is a little bit me. But the point is that when you. The fire side of it is so significant. The fire side, if you just said it right there, all they gotta do is, I know, but they got a budget for inspecting the tank. And being able to use that, cause I've talked to Mickey, if you guys run into a bind without buying all the booster pumps and the controls. You could get a pump at Sunbelt and you could hook it into that main, and I've got 200,000 gallons more of water. And we could get, I mean, if you run into that, like this emergency, what are we doing? But it is significant that 200,000 in this system will work, but it's not.
Well, I mean,
It's not cheap.
It's potable.
How about this? It would pass if like DEAC would say that you're meeting your their private rooms. What they do right now is they've called you, if you had enough complaint people, DEAC calls us too and makes this statement. You're getting a lot of nuisance That's how they word it, but they're in charge of all the permits. So make that a priority, I would make that a priority for sure, yes. Inspected tank, that's been on there for years, it hasn't been inspected in 15 years. A 200,000 gallon.
The plant two tank you're talking about.
And like I said, they have it set up for the fire department, but setting it up for the fire department or setting it up where we could put it online, cause it goes online. Two will come online when we have some issues with pressure drops, but our pressure drops right now.
Not the tank.
Not the tank.
The pump comes on.
And you can't control chlorine on 2,500, so the operational part is a nightmare. It's not really configured for somebody to set it and get it. It's got to control, so you gotta sit there, because the amount of chlorine it needs, and he explained that. It needs 12, all this chlorine to overcome that, and so that's it. That's exactly right, you're right.
Well, I guess I'll just start with a comment in the statement, you had mentioned about, the DR wardens and whatever, the volume builders. I think the general consensus is we don't want that type of development here in town anymore. So I guess what we're stuck with right now, from a legal perspective, these folks have a vested right to continue with a certain approved plan. This, that, or the other, unless we can figure out a way to their vested right runs out, or that we can somehow circumvent it or do something else. They have the right to build this many houses, and it's in probably around 1,500 or so. And we have the capacity, the volume to serve them. The water that comes out of the ground. So you're trying to say that we need to drill more wells in order to serve these people?
There's, those options right there are really the water department. I mean, what options, you just said your water inventory, demand doesn't meet your supply, and I know planning's working on it right now, and when things go vertical, but you're right, that's huge. If you allow this in 5 years, and I'm not the person that does supply demand calculations for an entire new subdivision that's on, so I'm not that guy. I'm just saying that's something you better be aware of.
Well, we have the numbers. I mean, we know how many houses are coming, we know how many gallons per minute these wells will produce. And according to this narrative, there's enough water there to serve them.
There's not with irrigation, right?
Excuse me?
We talked about that, the meeting that Chris keeps mentioning is staff had a meeting with the professionals as well to talk about the drought situation. And we have. It was briefly discussed that the new developments coming online, that we would not allow an irrigation system or an irrigation meter to be installed where it's tied into our water system, so that we could control the 242 gallons per minute. That was the original calculation. What Chris was talking about is the problem with the newer developments that are already online that have irrigation systems tied into the water system are using more than that 242 gallon calculation. Which is in Mr. Bykoff's report,
So.
the water calculation, so like when we're looking at the 280 homes coming online.
Right.
We wouldn't allow them to install an irrigation system that's tied into our water system, it would only be.
Well, I mean, can we do that? I didn't even know there was even such a thing that they had a separate irrigation system in their neighborhoods.
So when you have an irrigation system, currently right now, you only have one meter to go backflow type to that meter, one part of it goes to your house, one part of it goes into. The line, I'm looking at the professional serious side.
Well, can I transition in Ron?
Help me understand that. So there's a differentiation between the water meter that serves the house and the irrigation?
Even right now, the yard, we know,
What?
Not now, for instance, now,
Wait, I thought that's what you just told me.
no, what I'm talking about is that we would not allow. Irrigations to be tied into our physical, we only have one meter to run, there's two systems that are tied to that.
One is just for the meter and it's split that serves two houses, so you don't have to put two different meters on two different lines. but they serve the house, they've got a separate irrigation meter.
That is correct. There's no separation right now. I am requesting that be done. What you have now is you have a house, you have one meter, and what they've done is take it to the house and then split off the house, put it in a reduced pressure backhoe, then it can run it to the irrigation system off the side of the house. Or they take it out right there, we can turn it off if we had to. We have to go on private property to do it, which we don't have the authority to do.
Well, we would if we own that water system, like you said.
We don't own. We own to the water meter, in the front of the yard. We don't own private property.
But anyway, be that as it may. And maybe, I guess the thing is that, what you tell me is this occurs after it goes past the water meter.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so, and it's on private property, so I don't know that if we can even do that, to tell you the truth. But you certainly can alter the rate structure,
There's nothing that we can come up with, and town council would have to make some approvals and stuff, but there is a way to do that. That is that we would require irrigation meter be put in place so that there is separation between domestic use and irrigation water. And therefore, when they pay that tap fee, we would have it separated. And I've already worked out what it will cost us and how what we can charge those people and make it work so that we control what's put in the ground.
and maybe that's a viable solution or whatever.
Hey, man, real quick, Mr. Cross has an appointment, I've got, so many questions, but one of them is to treat the water with chlorine for sanitary. Right, how much chlorine, is there an amount of chlorine that you're using?
Even as far as how many parts per million per part, that's like the calculation is close to 4 parts per million for 1 part per million hydrogen sulfide.
Okay.
So that's not a steady, it's an aquifer, so that's moving in our chlorine spring. So variables on this include heat. So in that tank, 200,000 gallon tank sitting out in the sun, that degrades chlorine at faster.
Let's just call it for the sake of this question,
4
4 parts per million for 1 part.
And that's just hydrogen sulfide. So any other demand on the chlorine, any other demand is that's actually taking up chlorine too. So it's not just hydrogen sulfide.
For sanitary purposes.
Yeah.
Or please.
That's right, disinfection.
How much do you put in just for sanitary?
Yeah.
That's 4 parts.
Yeah, for this one. And the other one's 8 to 12.
So the idea that how much would you need to put in to treat, to make the sulfur smell go away? You're not, it doesn't matter because you're not putting in any more than.
That's correct.
Than the full.
We have a limit. There's a limit by the government saying I can't put that much more in it. And it's really a weighted average, like how we are doing it right now, we're really right about 2.5 to 3.5, which we're getting close to the 4.
Right,
And we want to stay under 4. All of our weighted averages that go to DEC have shown since we've been between 2.5 and 3.5.
It's complicated, get money, get a generator,
Yes, folks.
right, get tank, get
You get staff.
staff. Get plan 2 up, get staff, get treatment, right?
Yeah.
All right.
And I'm gonna pick some of the airport, so any questions, they have my email, I'd be more than happy, and thank you very much, thank you. Thank you, thank you, service to town, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Ron.
Is this your phone?
Yeah, don't,
Thank you. I know
I
it's.
want my keys. I want my keys. Thank you, guys.
I know here we are again in one of these things, but like my plan was to get the entire crop up, let it go, we'll get rural water up, drive down here, and then we'll do a question, like answer that ask the questions and make a list, and then we'll know something, and we'll go home and ponder it, pray about it, and know who our resources are to answer the questions that we come up with later. Does that suit everybody? All right, tell us what you got, John.
What we got is what I've been given to you is last 8 months, one is my master plan for the last 5 years, or what's the next 5 years ago we should be, and the product. The developers that are going to want to use it, or we've already agreed to. Like I told you earlier this afternoon, is that we have 400 units and 36 residential units and 36 commercial. What we're obligated for is 537 units worth of water already. Because we've agreed to serve these people. What it comes down to is that the 242 gallons a minute that we're using, that DHEC has said we could use, is not really what's happening with the new developments. The new developments are, they're building houses. I live in a 3,600 square foot house with 4 bathrooms and 4 bedrooms and 14 kids that run through the place all the time, grandkids and all. And my water bill runs me $100 a month. When I was a manager of Mount Pleasant Water Works, it was $26 a month, but that was 35 years ago. Right now, it's $100 a month. Right now, you're using 1980 or 79 rates
Prices, right?
for 2026. And we're way out of balance. So the way to look at this would be, yes, we need to spend money. Where do we need to spend money? We need to spend money at Plant 2. Now, you have already approved in the budget for this year, the booster pumps and the whatever it takes to get the ground storage tank at Plant 2 approved for operation. That'll give us the 200,000 gallons of extra storage that could be used immediately. That's ready to be permitted, bid, but well, not bid, requested permits from DHEC to go ahead and do that work. So, and Mickey's ready to do that. He can take the preliminaries that we have and submit that for a permit to start the operation, so we can actually physically do the work and get it done.
Mr. Seabrook, are you ready to submit
Not check.
those permits?
Probably be made, application could be made within a month.
That would take 3 years to let.
No.
Let's fast track that.
Well. I'll let him.
Yeah.
The ground storage tank needs to be cleaned and disinfected to be used properly. The other part of this is, we keep talking about what to do with the hydrogen sulfide problem. If we're gonna work on this ground storage tank, hydrogen sulfide is a locked up oxygen or air, and what you do is if you aerate it, it releases the gas into the atmosphere and it goes away. You do that, there's a number of ways to do an aeration chamber on the top of the tank. We did it in Mount Pleasant for years because everybody hated the water in Mount Pleasant for a long time because of that problem. And we put in there the charcoal filters and stuff to aerate it.
Isn't our pH wrong for aeration to work?
Sir,
Is our pH not a problem with aerating?
you can adjust the pH if you have to. That's a chemical thing that engineers can design, work out or whatever to get the pH where you need it. If it needs to be on the acid side and we're sitting at an 8 or 8.5 and we need to get down to a 6 or 6.5, that's something you can add to the water to adjust that pH to get it where you need to get it for that to happen.
So an aeration function on top of tank 2 water.
Would take out part of the hydrogen sulfide. The 200,000 gallon tank being there with chlorine in it would attack the hydrogen sulfide that's left over to the point where I think it would reduce it where it wouldn't be a major problem like they have right now. Right now, they're just getting a full blast dose of it and nothing's happening. I mean, we flush it and what happens is the majority of the people in this town don't know, but we've put it out a couple of times to the public and it's available. And if anybody wants to call me, I'll send it to you. A process where when we finish flushing the water systems in the area, you need to flush your home. And the way you flush your home is you gotta run all the outside faucets for about 5 minutes. And make sure that you pull all the water in. The next thing you do is you go in and you turn on all of your hot water lines, baffles in the system, sinks, tubs, whatever. Run all the hot water, because you gotta drain your hot water tank because it's full of water that's got hydrogen sulfide. And you gotta drain that in order to get it out of your house. Once you've done that and fixed it up like that, it'll go away, smell will go away, because you cleaned it out in your system in your house. Turn all your cold water faucet, turn all your hot water faucet, flush it out of that system. And make sure that you start with your outside faucets doing it first, and then pull it through. Because what happens is it'll sit in that hot water tank, and you might use 10 gallons, and you put 10 gallons of water in it. You're still got hydrogen sulfide in there, and it may take a week or two before it ever gets out of it, but you still got that smell, especially every time you get in the shower. So they need to learn to flush their systems after we flushed ours. That's just another way of treating it at the end source instead of at the beginning source, yes ma'am.
I would just, if you're talking to the developers, you need to confirm what they're installing, because my neighborhood has tankless water heaters, we don't flush our water heaters.
You got Renee?
And so that's a question we need to check with the developer, what they're installing.
The difference with the Renai hot water heater is it's a coil that goes through there, and it's not like the one is like 50 gallons or 60 gallons. It's got a coil that runs through there, and instantly heats the water and goes, so you don't have to flush it.
Right, and what we're saying is we have these expectations that people aren't doing it, but I don't think the new people actually have tanks. I think most of them have tankless.
I think they're tankless Renai, is what they put in now.
So really that conversation needs to go to people who've lived here maybe a long time, not the new developers.
Not the new ones, but the older ones, yes.
Yeah, it's an if then, if it's a tankless water heater, then we don't know the flush of reservoir, they don't have it, for sure.
So if you want to spend your money and spend it correctly, we need to get plant 2 done. You've already approved it this year in the budget. We'll move forward, we get plant 2 ground storage tank fixed and the booster pumps in place to put water in it. If you give me just a second to go back into Mount Pleasant, because I ran it for 20 years. Mount Pleasant has done away with all their elevated tanks. There's only one elevated tank in Mount Pleasant. And it's right at the head of the bridge where you can see Mount Pleasant written on it as you're coming off the bridge. Everything else is a ground storage tank. You know what? It's simpler to go buy an acre and you put a 500,000 gallon ground storage tank on an acre. And it's got water there, and you put booster pumps to it, and it's just, they've got booster pumps on tanks like that on 41, up 17. They put them over in the old village in a couple of places. And so they're not running on an elevated tank or pressure system anymore. They're running a booster pump system for the whole thing over there. And that works, and it works fine. You could do that here. And it does 2 or 3 things for you. You can buy the location, put in a ground storage tank. Whatever size you want, the same thing, 200,000 gallons like we got here or larger, whatever. Gives you 2 things, it gives you storage for water. And it's also a point that you own where you can inject chlorine and keep your chlorine residual where it belongs for the whole system. So down the line, get away from the elevated tank, but you put in ground storage tanks. And it gives you an opportunity where you can also correlate the system again, rather than just at this source and this source and everything in between is whatever it comes out to be. Everywhere you got a ground storage tank, you could be chlorinating and making sure that the system is being kept up to date with the proper amount of chlorine for disinfection purposes only at that point. So down the line, if we're looking at it for 5 years down the road and where we want to spend our money. We need a rate increase. 2, you're gonna have to have an impact fee to slow these people down some. The rate increase has got to be in tiers. So that the more you use, the more it costs you. And it gotta be set to where the difference is from a 3/4 meter to a 1-inch meter to an 1.5 inch meter to a 2-inch meter. So that because we've got people that's doing that now. We got 3/4 inch meters, we got 2-inch meters, we got 1.5 inch meters, but we got one rate. That's all. And that's got to stop. We got to fix that. The more water you use, the more you should pay. I mean, you know, the 2 new developments going right down on 17 now. And they put an 1.5 inch water meter. They need the water and the volume for what they're going to do. But their rate is the same as yours that your rate is different by them until we get something like that taken care of. So rate structure is one thing. Impact fees is another one. Looking at the 5-year plan, looking at the rate structure that Mr. Abernathy is gonna bring to you here shortly and talk to you about is that. It needs to be set based on what we wanna do. I believe that you need to do this from a standpoint of plant one. We can't do anything for plant one right now, other than put a building on top of that small well out there, part of this water system that's been rotted for the past 40 years.
You've been asking for that since I got here.
Since January 23. It's been there.
Haven't done it myself.
But we need to fix that. Other than that, let's put the money at plant two. Let's fix that. Let's get it going with what Mickey's doing. And then let's look at where we want to go for the next 5 years. And I think it's buy tracts of land where it's going to be best for this town to have ground storage tanks and booster pumps and chlorination capabilities.
Aeration.
And aeration on the top of them, whatever, you know, if those are in the system, you don't need the aeration there, but the aeration, the hydrogen sulfide's gotta be taken care of at the plant. Where it comes out of the ground, yes, ma'am.
How who would identify those 1 acre plots of land? Like, how do you identify the best?
Locations,
Correct.
that would be from a hydraulic standpoint, I would have to have the engineers, let's run up the hydraulic system of the,
Maybe
on
if you
the
have-
existing system.
You would have to have a source. Water.
That's just,
That could be the well, or it could be that it fills up at night. You know, it is water that's consumed during the daytime. Feed all the system out and we will just fill it back up there and low demand out. Be available from our location, we can have the pumps on there so that if you need the water. Turn around and pump it in.
So it needs-
Could we flush the system into a ground storage tank when the system needs to be flushed? I mean, isn't that a thing?
What's the purpose of these things?
So the store, I'm still not sure, so you're saying that like a 1 acre plot of land needs to be near one of the wells?
no,
Or near the
it
line.
needs to be near the water system where we can tie
The
into
lines.
the lines.
The lines.
Things, where we can tie into some.
For what purpose? What are they gonna do?
Mr. Timmons has got a big tractor, we're right next to him, we can put.
So the ground.
He got plenty of water.
So there's storage and stuff, he went into it while you were out, like it'd be a place we could treat more chlorine. And that's what Mount Pleasant is doing, there aren't any elevated tanks in Mount Pleasant, there aren't anymore.
So this would be for the purpose of serving existing development or new development?
For the purpose of serving existing water system.
So the existing water system, what it would do is to give you water reserves for what Chris was talking about as far as the fire department is concerned. Right now, what he's saying is that only
this
got
would
to
be
be
for the fire
reserved is a 200,000 gallon elevated tank full of water. That the fire department can use, and it would take them about an hour and a half, and they could drain that tank down dry, and then we'd still be pumping. I don't know, we could.
But once we get the other 200,000 gallon tank online, then we're gonna have 400,000
Yes,
gallons.
sir.
Once
If
200.
the CBL goes, Carl
So
fire.
this is for fire protection, those will be doing this?
Yes and yes. It's for the domestic use and for the public at will, but it's yes, for fire protection.
And the domestic use for whom?
Mayor, what, it would give us another option to
For who to use, for what?
for the existing customers, existing guys.
It would help us maintain the proper pressure within the system and proper gallonage to serve
So that this is,
anything that would happen.
this is basically, supplying a deficiency in the existing water system.
Right, as part of Mr. Bycroft's 5-year plan for the build out of for the.
You can't use impact fees for that.
Do what?
You cannot use impact fees to fund deficiencies in an existing system.
These are not only deficiencies in the system, this is adding to the system's capabilities, and that you can use it for.
Well, if it's going to new growth and development, that's the point I'm trying to make.
I'm not here, I'm not a lawyer.
Well, I'm not a lawyer, but I know a lot about impact fees.
I do too.
And you cannot use it to augment existing deficiencies. It can only be used to provide growth or new development.
So what he would be doing was be providing more capabilities to for the system as whether it's growth or fire protection or whatever.
Well,
It
even
would be
even
all-
that,
it would be all-
you would not be able to say, if we don't have a fire protection capability now, we could use impact fees to establish one for existing residents.
I'm not saying that.
So, but anyway, so,
Just
Ron,
going,
just
let's keep
do,
going.
just make your presentation for us, please, thank you for everything you do. If you'll make your presentation for us, we'll move on. I also have a obligation. Okay.
My concern is that you've got a 5-year plan in front of you, you've got the production capabilities of the system in front of you. They need to be embellished by having ground storage tanks put in, they need to have some aeration put in, plant 2 down there to dump with the hydrogen sulfide. And you need to do something with the rate study and stuff and that, if you're having that, you need to with that.
Right, and
I'll answer questions if people have questions, but I'm not waiting with.
so you're agreeing with what we got as far as structure and what we need. Emergency generator, which is number 1 on your list.
The generators need to be, that's a requirement that goes with any water plant, and we don't have them, yes, that is a deficiency.
So we never have, but we have the audits now. We have, those are queued up, so and then get plan 2 up and running, which we have in the budget, the permits are, we got the best engineer around, work on the permit for us. Right there, right, we're right there with it. And are you suggesting that we add something to it that you have to consider, which is an aeration factor?
I'm thinking from a standpoint, if we're gonna be working on it, why not go ahead and put some aeration on top of the ground storage tank to help with the hydrogen sulfide?
All right, and then staff, need staff.
Yeah.
Side.
You can't run this system, I'm one person, and there's 1,500 of you in this town. I can't handle all of them in one time, and that's what's happening. Especially when they call in with 5 and 6 at a time, saying hydrogen sulfide, I've got running water and all this kind of stuff. You can't do that. From my other standpoint is, I've cleaned plant 2 or 3 times myself personally, went down with my own blowers, and broke rooms and stuff, and swept it out, cleaned it out and stuff, just to keep it clean. You need staff, 1, to have them out there on the road where they're seen by the public, and 2, they don't think that some of these people are stealing water by going up their fire hydrants and picking up to them with a hose and filling up their tanker trucks and going back to the developments and using them for whatever they want. And we don't know because we can't catch them. And because we don't have eyes out there. So if you see something like that, ladies and gentlemen, take a picture. If I got a picture, then I've got proof, then I can find them.
I think Weaver Construction was seen doing that just the other morning. I got 2 reports on it. Did anybody answer those emails?
Yes,
Weaver.
we've been discussing them all day today. I've got a
We
letter,
answered the email.
I've got a letter from the fire inspector, the new.
Marshall.
Fire marshal, and he saw him personally doing it while he was on duty as a fire marshal. I can take that and I can find him for what they've done.
Right on the corner,
Right there on the
I
clock.
saw it twice this week.
Did you take a picture, sir?
No.
Who
I
the hell,
thought we had it all controlled.
who the hell is Dean Weaver?
Weaver is the contractor that's working for Sandy and doing that, Seaweed Sandy development.
Right here,
Right there.
they're stealing our water.
Yes.
I get, and the fire marshal saw him doing it.
Yes, I got pictures of True Light doing it too.
They're getting, how about
They
how
they just pull up to the pump and fill up.
So if I've got a big enough monkey wrench, I can go get water out of
Yeah,
a
it's
fire.
like, it's a common practice.
They've got a tanker truck, it's probably a 2,000-gallon tanker truck, and they're pulling up to a fire hydrant, loading it up, and going back and doing whatever they're doing on their roads or whatever.
It's like stealing.
It is.
Yes,
Like, is that the demand, you shouldn't do that? But stealing is stealing, and when you're stealing from a municipality, that must be some kind of like. That's like, you go to prison for stuff like that?
Your fine capabilities in code is maximum of 500.
Jobs are stealing more.
That needs to be adjusted.
Because, but
The
what
code
about
needs to
fire,
be adjusted.
what about firefighting capability, like, Dan Weaver just drew down our, and everybody keeps saying that. See, the outpost catches on fires, I couldn't put it out, too, if it weren't for Dean Weaver. And that's stealing our water,
Yeah, it
and
happens.
the fire marshal saw us.
I saw him with True Light, took
The
pictures.
point of it is, we can find them, but the fine is only $500. You need to adjust the code to make those, we just.
But that, no, that, please don't steal from the town.
$100 is nothing for them to develop. Yeah,
All right.
they can make it $5,000, then you might get their attention.
All right, and raise rates. And raise rates. All right, so, thank you, Ron. I know you've been after this report for a long time, and it's like, I know you've been, I feel you, thank you for the work. All right, so I guess that brings finally Mr. Abernathy to the rural wall. Am I getting that right?
Yes.
All right, so Mr. Abernathy, you made a presentation to us before about rates.
Yes,
You guys did a study on the rates, and as I remember the study as it was and what you forecasted, it was like option number 4, number 7, that problems this rate structure, then we raised the tier system over time. All that sort of thing. Is that what you're an expert at? Is that what you do best? Or having heard what you've heard today from the experts we have in chambers, is that your area of expertise is rates?
I was a utility director for 28 years.
Nice.
Managed a $12 million budget.
Are you busy?
Right, well, I'm retired and I work for rural water. So, rates is one thing that I'm very familiar with. It's something that we looked at annually, we adjusted according to our CIP plans.
Annually, you didn't do it for 17 years?
No, sir, that would not be recommended by anybody, I don't think.
Right.
Like I explained before, the presentation that you got is a moving target. And the reason I say that is that number is going to change depending on which route this board decides to take. Your system is going to be based on the route you take to solve your water issues. You're going to have to calculate in your upgrades through CIPs, your equipment. You're going to have all this in place. And you're starting from scratch. And the problem is, it's no longer something that we have to digest. You have an elephant on the table, Mayor, that every one of y'all are responsible for taking care of. Rates are that old.
Right, and the problem with rural water is that it's a big city solution to a small town problem, and to make water affordable, you have to have a law, you have to have more than 1,750 people paying into that, and that's the problem with rural water, is it's expensive, because there aren't that many homes.
Correct. And you know, the larger towns have a larger customer base. But you can be sustainable, Mayor, you can, through the water business. Water is something that everyone has to have. It's not something you get a choice. Without water, you can't survive, you can't live. So it is something that you need to take very seriously. And you know, we set back at times and we say, we're not going to do rate increases because our citizens or our customers can't afford it. The problem with that is that rate's coming. If you set on it, it's only going to get larger and it's going to get bigger.
Right.
That's what happened. Then you end up taking a bigger chunk than what if you have taken a smaller chunk. We even recommend that in ordinance, written in ordinance, that you put in there that you take at least the inflation rate every year through ordinance. Because it's costing you more. You are eating that cost every time you don't go up on rate.
Right, it costs the people either.
Yes, sir. It's costing them either way. When you don't go up, at least on the inflation rate, everything these gentlemen do just went up at least the inflation rate. So you're paying for it. You're just not taking on that cost. You have to cover your cost.
Right.
And the other part of that is you will never, ever be able to get any grant money. There are tons of money out there. You don't qualify unless you have an audit. That tells how sustainable you are. That audit tells whoever's giving you that money that you are responsible enough to take care of it and you're gonna take care of yourself.
So we have an audit.
Yes, you've been working on your audits and we're gonna get started on grant applications next. We've already spoken. So now that we have something that we can turn in, we're gonna start filling out applications. If we get told no, that's okay. But I can tell you, we're not gonna get it if we don't apply.
So that's what we're gonna do. I'm on board. We applied for the VIP. Audit was not part of that process. I don't know if we've heard anything. I'm anxiously awaiting. I hope you get every now.
VIP loves us, they so want us to be on board, they can't wait.
That's a good thing. I hope so.
So Brandon, with your experience, your career experience as a retired in the rural water, you've heard what we have about this here tonight, regardless of the rate, which will increase. And we'll consider irrigation as a separate ratio, we heard, but does the Rural Water Association, so now you have insight into the career of water, the Rural Water Association, and the problems we're having in this town. Is the Rural Water Association in a position to be our income source to do what we need to do to fix this water?
Income source, no. We are here for technical assistance. We are free of charge. Our assistants do not cost anything.
So the grant money, there's no grant in the rural.
There, we do not offer grants. Grants go through SRF and RIA, which are one state and one's federal. There's 15 million grants out there, Mayor, that we could reach out for. There's grants for generators through emergency,
That's the help that you'll give.
Yes, I am here to walk you through that and help you apply for those grants.
Yes, just the county, the state, the federal grant opportunities, and that's, because that's step one.
Yeah.
We need some money.
Yeah, because like I said, emergency management, they have separated grants. We keep talking about fire protection. Public safety gets a ton of grant money.
One, I think we'll also have a grant coming soon for the generators.
Yeah. So we're gonna explore every option. In South Carolina, in South Carolina Rural Water, we have 21 staff members, Mayor. We have people that specialize in treatment. We have people like myself that specialize in distribution, and management and finance, that kind of thing. We have people that are wastewater people. We have water people. We have people that work for DES for 30 years that do inspections.
Where do you live?
I live in Myrtle Beach.
That's not that far from here.
It is not, no, sir. Our main office is in Columbia.
Never hired.
Do what?
We never hired.
Thank you, Mayor, that I am retired. I enjoy being retired. So,
Maybe you know somebody.
I'm sorry.
Maybe you know somebody.
Yes, and we've already posted it on our website, so update it, keep it updated and keep it going. The reason I say that it's a moving target, Mayor, is whichever way y'all decide to go. Then what we're gonna look at is we're gonna look at rates to fund that and how we're gonna become sustainable. Then we're gonna look at what are we gonna need 5 years out. We're gonna look at impact fees. We're gonna look at ordinances that can help you. Yes, stealing, getting water from a fire hydrant is a criminal act. And if it is protected in your ordinances, yes, you can enforce that. It's just like your drought policy, that should be in place, it should be filed. It should be reviewed every year, so you should have a drought response plan. It should tell you A, B, C, and D on how you go through things. As far as ordinances, you can have ordinances that protect you on irrigation. Irrigation and domestic should not be connected. That is a cross connection. It is, and people do it all the time. But if you separate those two, you've got two separated rates. You adjust those rates when you go into a drought, you cut those meters off. And you don't allow irrigation. That's how you get control of it. And yeah, that's all done through ordinance, or that's the way we did it, was through our ordinance, through town ordinance.
They do have a new structure back from the judges on their irrigation systems
Oh, yes, sir.
coming off the houses.
Yes, sir. Every irrigation has to have its own backfill.
Yeah.
Yep. And that doesn't change from state to state.
It hasn't changed.
I was in North Carolina, yes, sir, but we required by ordinance, you could not have a domestic and an irrigation on the same tap. It had to be set.
It seems so obvious now.
Yes.
It seems like elementary at this point, like why is there so many?
Yes, and please, check systems, same size, that have the same problems. They've been through it, they'll help you. They've all, don't reinvent the wheel, the ordinance are probably already there. So look, the drought response plan, don't write your own stuff on somebody if you don't. It's the way it works.
What towns do you recommend we copy their homework?
We can look based on population, but you're gonna want somebody that has well water for source water. That you don't want surface water, because that's gonna be a whole different animal. You're gonna wanna look at maybe population that's pretty close. I know of several, and South Carolina Rural Water can help you with that. You can go through our membership directory, and it tells you, you know, how many customers. You can look through DES, will give you that information. I can hook you with that information through email, at least give you some similar systems. How do y'all handle your drought? How do you handle your irrigation ordinances? How do you handle that? And they may not have anything either, so you're in the same boat, but I guarantee you'll find somebody that's got something for you.
Well, Mr. Abernathy, I think we got a relationship developing here.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for being here, thank you for making time, thank you for your efforts, your care.
Yes. And Mayor, one other note, once we get you on track and once we get to where we need to be, then we're gonna start looking at. You're gonna need a little bit of fund balance, you're gonna need a little bit of funding love. You're gonna have to watch your transfers, don't transfer money. Sorry. Good, yeah, you're not the only one that does that, everybody does that. We did that from where I came from,
What are you talking about? Transferring from general fund to,
or vice versa.
okay.
You shouldn't use the utility to prop up anything in the general, you shouldn't use the general to prop up the utility. It all should be a franchise fund, and it should be taking care of itself.
Right.
That's the only way it's gonna be sustainable. We use, you can't keep robbing Peter to pay Paul, you're not helping yourself.
Yeah,
You're just hurting the people that you're propping up.
they don't want to do that.
So, but we have to look at all that too. Then we're gonna look at, you know, we've got to look at a CIP plan. And it's gotta be bought into by the entire board. That way everybody's on the same page. Here's our capital improvement plan. This is what we wanna be in 5 years. This is where we're heading. This is the improvements we need to make. And this is the rates we're gonna have to adjust so that we make sure we can fund that. I see it all the time. 150,000 up to $1.5 million awarded in grant money, and they don't have the 20%. Can't happen, they'll take it back.
As we discuss rates, one thing that I think a lot of us are very concerned about is that we don't want to price any of our residents out of being able to manage water, so we would appreciate some information on how other communities are dealing with like rate assistance.
Yes.
Needs-based rate assistance.
Yep, we have that, we have information on that, there are several options there. We also do a rate study statewide. And you are entitled to a copy of that if you want it. It has every system that participates, it has every customer, it has what their rates are, so you can compare yours to somebody of your size. You don't want, you know.
You posted on their charts.
Sir?
I said you posted online, their charts. Every water and sewer provider in the state of South Carolina posted online.
Yes,
That
sir.
is right today.
Individual branch, you can usually find, yes, sir, they pass and adopted by the other two. Yeah, whereas ours is compiled into one place, so it's all in one. So you can pull through.
Well, it's
There's
just,
a lot of small.
it's just a table that shows the rates of all the service providers and rates they charge per 5,000 gallons will be your water or sewer.
Well, some of them do a facility charge and they give away water in that facility charge, some do not. Some charge the facility charge, it should be covering exactly what it says, it should be covering your facilities. And then your charge per thousand is what you charge to treat that water.
These are just rates.
So, but every rate is different, every rate is not the same. I'm dealing with a system right now that had a base rate and facility charge where they give away 2,500 gallons with that facility charge. So with your base $50, you got 2,500 gallons of water. They couldn't afford to do that.
So we're gonna work on the rates for sure, and this isn't how we're gonna get out of the. I think there's a lot more going on with rural water than just a rate study. We intend to partner with you, and that's number one on my list.
Yes, sir.
And then the general, and then Frank Tilly, and then Sandy.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Seaver.
They probably already know this. Condition of these rural development grants is that if you're within 300 feet of the existing building, thou shalt be getting to the bushes.
We have.
What is your second?
It's a mandatory condition.
If you're within-
If you're within 300 feet from active warning, you will connect to the system.
Yes, we have.
Or you
Facility.
will get the basic.
Yeah, and so.
Or you can also. That's a condition of federal grants that you know.
That's a condition that's set here, where it is here, you have to tie you're over 300 feet away from the water system. You don't.
That's a condition of the federal grant.
Yes, that's the your own laws.
Yeah, let me ask a question about that if you don't mind. It's in our town code. And what we're doing is we're charging people the minimum monthly rate, which I believe is $30 a month now. And still letting them not tie in. So we're charging them for a service they're not getting. They're not getting any water, not getting a drop of water, but yet they're paying $30 a month for water they're not getting. Which I'm questioning that. I don't think you even do that. But the other aspect of that is that there are a number of anything available at equity of law for us to make people tie in, we can do. The town just has never done it. But my question about the 300 feet, okay, so down Seaway Road, there are fire hydrants on one side of the road, and there's fire hydrants on the other side of the road. But obviously, the water line is not on both sides of the road, so it crosses over at certain.
Across of that plant too.
What's that?
Across of that plant too.
Okay,
Here's something that's on the inside, it's on the ocean side.
okay, so somebody who lives across the street from the water line, right, there's a public road separated, so Seaway Road 60-foot public right of way. From that property line, let's say the intercoastal side of Seaway Road to the house that needs to tie into the water, because it's within 300 feet, the only thing separating two property lines is the 60-foot public right of way. Do they have to bore under the road to connect with a,
I think theoretically.
you think what?
I think theoretically the town most probably have to provide the service.
No, I'm not saying theoretically, I'm saying y'all, we're talking about what the law says. It would seem to me that's what,
Grant condition, I don't have any.
and there's also municipal law, right? Pull that up right here.
I can answer your question, Councilman Prosser. Yes, you
Yes.
would have to pour underneath the road. And what we do currently is when you look at the rates, if you have to bore underneath the road, you have to pay for it at cost, and it's
Right.
$2,750. On top
That's
of
fiscal year office.
$2,750 on top of the $6,000 that you already have to pay.
Right, and does the town ever make anybody do that?
Yes, we have.
Oh, a single family residence?
Yes, sir.
But we weren't going to charge that $6,000 hookup fee.
No, we have.
This past, until this past like March.
Currently, yes, we have this.
We're only charging.
Corrected it.
We're charging half an hour, so we show people. So, gang, let's thank Mr. Abernathy, and I'd like to wrap this thing up in the next 10 minutes or so. Any further questions for our Rural Water Association, contact the rates. Thank you.
Yes,
So we're just getting started. Here's a question I've had for a long time. It seems like the further you move north, the further you move away from solar. Is that a true statement, or is it more of a?
No, I heard that you said that the Berkeley well, is even more.
Berkeley was worse than ours.
But like McClellanville doesn't have sulfur water.
They don't have water at all, we're in a residential well.
I know, but they don't have sulfur in their wells.
Well, basically, all these wells on this end of the county are in the sanitary lines.
Right.
Your well, plant one is 200, is screened to 239 feet.
Right.
The wells at Colorado Middle School, I was involved in That well is 110 feet deep. So there's a gradient going toward the ocean.
Are they in sanity limestone as well? Yeah, that's okay. And they don't sulfur it.
The water quality in the Cleveland appears to be better than the water quality here. I talked about the Golden Bay Water District, where the research was being done for that. The original plan was to put a well field basically down Highway 17. And I don't remember where it started and where it ended, but that was the idea, because the quantity of water was so good. And the basis, the study took samples from people's individual houses along the way. I still got that at my office. I don't know any more than what I'm telling you right now off the top of my head, but originally there was a plan to get water from Orlando to serve all of them.
Because it's good water, like the Mount, but and then the Mount Pleasant's in the Willendorf aquifer or something like that, right there, now, they're 1,000 feet now, is that right?
2,000.
2,000 feet,
Mount Pleasant wells. Back in the fifties, maybe they put those wells in White City, or there were limestone wells.
This is 2000, the 40-foot wells,
Yeah, no, there were some wells.
the 2000, yeah.
No, there was another set of wells, that shallower than 2,000 feet, which was the same limestone, and as you go south to the beautiful. It's to be horrible, salty.
They were in operation.
right, so our water, our sandy limestone aquifer water is good water.
Yes.
Is it gonna be better than that 2,000 foot deep water in the Willowville aquifer, is that correct? And so Mount Pleasant has to spend a fortune treating their water. Right? Is there not something we can do where we spend a fortune to treat our water just to get the sulfur out?
Well, I mean, it's gonna be expensive, however you do that.
Yeah.
But the water in Mount Pleasant has the hammer that we had used to get Mount Pleasant basically to look at our old system. It's full of. It seems not like the children.
Right, so is that what would an RO system here fix our sulfur problem?
Removes it. I think it have to pre-treat because it's a bit. RO removes salts.
Right, okay.
Some salts, it's not effective on. Sodium and bicarbonate, things like that, it's effective on, and other things that. I would say blow through the membrane, but it not as effective. In certain things, you have to see what you got, decide what type of treatment you use on this.
Yeah, it's like what I'd love to do is I'd love to be able to look into the owl and say, we figured it out. All in all, we figured out what to do and we're gonna get it done. But I think what we figured out is we need to have a relationship with the rural water department. And that's, so that need to be in here, that is obviously what we need to do to get grants, because we need the money.
Yes.
So money's number one. We need to do a rate study, we need to. Stick with the energy on our rate study and raise rates. We need emergency generators that we own and stay here, so we don't, in an emergency, they'll still bring us a generator. Yeah, that's an emergency.
We never could use them.
Right, because we didn't have the proper hookup, but we do have, but we'll get the generators, I get that. Get plant 2 up and running, right, we have the budget for it, we have the forethought for it, we have the permits in the wing, we're ready to get. Plant 2 up and running, we're ready to get some staff, we're working on getting staff, and continue to pay energy into that. And none of that, we accomplish all of that. Makes your water stop stinking.
That's what?
Makes the water stop stinking. Right, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the list is treatment. Which is maybe ozone, maybe who knows what, we know this, it's gonna take years and it's gonna be expensive. Right, so the problem of delivering water to the average citizen of Onondaga that doesn't smell like sulfur. We're stymied.
I wouldn't say.
Well, no,
we're
we're not
looking at- We've got options and we're looking at them, and the aerator on the second tank in that process will be helpful.
Right.
We're not stymied.
Well,
Don't be stunned.
I'm sorry. Stein, I'm spectrum optimistic, but I think as far as like what people want is for their water to stop stinking right now.
It's gonna
They
be
want,
process.
they want it to stop stinking right now. And I know that the only way to get that done right now is to get some sort of treatment center on your house. To get, I mean, the one at my house.
Point of use.
And Mr. Brown has the same system I have.
Mhm.
With the little thing under the sink, that goes to the spigot, it doesn't mind if we have our refrigerator. And I've got 2 tall tanks, 2 timers, and a pressure tank, and it costs like $7,000.
Yeah, assume it's $10,000.
Right.
So I don't know, at what point do you multiply the number of points of use times $10,000? And obviously, we can't do this.
It's $1.2 million, I did the math.
$1.2 million.
I gave us a fee.
Okay,
I gave us a bulky purchase.
you're going the same place I am.
Right.
That's,
But the only way to get your water to stop sinking now is to hire somebody like Ancient Northcutt. Ancient Northcutt is not the only game in town. And I don't think honestly, I don't think Ancient Northcutt, like they're tired of trying to mess with all of it. They're doing the best to make them beat the fleet DES, and they have been. It's a thankless stuff, really. But if your water stinks in all involved, and it does. With this 130 whatever year drought. And nobody's stopping, nobody's obeying our request to use less water. The water consumption is going up. If you need your water to stop stinking right now, I think you're gonna have to get some kind of private home filter. That deals with the sulfur at point of use.
yes.
And maybe after we get through this drought or this winter, or once we work our list priorities and refuse to be signed, then we will be able to solve this problem, but this is not a fix it right now. And I don't believe we had a fix it right now meeting. You know, this is gonna take years. Months,
So
years.
people that have lived here for years understand these. They understand that the solution is point of use. And I would argue that if they analyze what it costs for them to put in their own well, if they don't already have one, and then maintain their own well and replace the pump periodically, which they would have to do. Using our well,
Using our water.
using our well instead of their well, same water. Using our well. And then getting themselves a system is probably a better deal.
And you think the developers should be required.
Well, I know of a builder, now now that particular house is on a well, it's not on our system, but again, it's the same water.
This builder should be installing this
He
system.
put a system in, that came with his house.
That all depends. It depends on what kind of quality of water you're getting out of the well on your property. I don't have any of that. and I would be incensed tremendously if I were forced to tie into the town's water system. To pay for quality of water that was worse than what I have right now. I don't see any reason for it.
Okay, maybe mine's not a valid assumption.
Alright, so I know, like, you live on magic
Maybe I did.
piece of land that doesn't use you.
And we all pass as well?
You. Welcome back, hey, Mr. Brown, welcome back, I'm glad you're back, we're good to hear, we missed you. I would hear a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.